Chip?
Oh, I would love one. Thank you.
Excellent. Welcome back, everybody, to Everything
Unfiltered.
Where we talk about things,
Freely and without edits.
and every time I start saying something, George finishes. Not really, that's not how it works at all. Now,
That's when you cut to the intro.
yeah. So, today we'll be eating Doritos. Because we want to. Now, we hope you all enjoyed the first episode, if you saw it. If not, that's okay. Because totally new topics every week. But you know, the same gist, the same type of show. We just talk about what's on our minds. And you know.
And if you like this one, watch the other one.
You should. It's wild. It's wild. Episode 1 is dope.
Wild and dope. Yes.
That's right.
We definitely didn't start the timer.
Oh, we'll start it right now. As we begin our first segment, hosted by George here. World News.
Okay. So first up, the topic that has captivated the world for the past few days, the Boeing 737 jet. Now, in the past 6 months, there have been 2 crashes of the exact same model. Keelan, what does this mean, you may ask?
That's exactly what I was going to ask, George.
That means that a lot of people are running scared. Very scared. Because
I've been running around aimlessly all day.
they believe they can't trust the plane. So, Boeing,
Yeah.
which is a massive technology company, but nobody really understands how massive they are.
I did not understand until this very discussion.
But they say that they have complete confidence in all of their products. And they maintain that there's nothing wrong with the plane.
Yeah.
The FAA is related to the government,
Yes.
and they have a very cozy relationship with Boeing. You know, Boeing and the FAA, they like this. So they didn't want to ground the plane, but
Okay.
under intense pressure they did.
Gotcha.
There was nothing more they could do. So, as of this moment, all of the countries in the world have grounded this plane.
Okay, so every airline in the world that uses this plane model produced by Boeing, you shut them down?
No, not the companies themselves, but the planes, because big companies like Southwest and Delta,
Oh no, I know not those companies. Yeah.
they have like a whole fleet
Yeah.
of airships, but and they're probably going to do okay in the midst of this little thing, but other companies which are reliant on that model, I suppose, would be shut down. Yes.
Okay.
And the speculation is surrounding a software bug. Why do we have 3 pillows?
See, we didn't need that pillow. We just got rid of it. Now we just have the 2 pillows. We're still figuring things out here, guys. Bear with us. Continue. Also, the reason that we were wearing socks and not shoes is because of a game of tag we played in the mud before coming here to film. Guess whose idea that was?
Geniuses that came from the sky and told us to play tag.
Yes. Most definitely. Anyways, the Boeing.
There's a software bug in the Boeing. I wouldn't. Bug is a broad term, but basically, what happens is when the plane
This might have been a bad idea.
When the plane starts...
This is a good idea.
When the plane starts to dip a little bit,
Yeah.
to go lower, usually it's not that big of a deal because the pilot usually just corrects it. This Boeing model has an automatic software feature which, when you do this, it goes
When
which is
when
annoying.
you start to dip.
Yes.
So is the primary issue here just the noise, or is there anything that like puts the planes like at risk?
Well, the noise is a risk because when you're flying, when you're flying an aircraft, even the slightest twitch of the stick and suddenly you're falling out of the sky.
Right.
So like everything that is a thing. There's also like other parts of the plane which are dependent on the system. And since it's not being used properly, Boeing has in the past tried to like put out like an educational pamphlet or video about how to use the software, which I think is honestly pretty funny. how you make a broken software and you're like, and now we continue with, and it's just like a guy in the video being like, flick the switch. But
Wait, who's that video for? Is that for like
pilots?
Okay.
Pilots. They're making this video for pilots.
Yeah.
As if pilots are gonna be like, oh man, I don't really know how to fly the plane. Let me open this YouTube video real quick.
I'd be scared if I was walked to the cockpit of my plane and the pilot's watching a YouTube tutorial on flying.
It's like, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we were grounded for a moment. The pilot is currently learning how to fly the plane. But these jets, they're under intense scrutiny right now, and hopefully there's nothing wrong with them. And those 2 crashes in 6 months were just complete random chance that they happened at that close together and at those at the exact same model. But it is always good to be vigilant in these because you don't really want to put any people's lives in jeopardy. You can just ground the plane.
That's true.
So that was, of course, in my opinion at least, the most rational thing to do. Because you'd never want to you'd never want to risk anybody's life just because you want to keep a few planes in the air.
Oh, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
So, now, I apologize for not being quite the airplane expert myself, but is there no possible way to simply turn off the sound? Or is it a deeper mechanism in the plane that you cannot disable, that a pilot cannot disable in the moment?
As far as I'm aware, it's an automatic feature.
Okay.
But, I'm not a pilot.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. That makes sense. And could you tell the viewers what you told me when you mentioned this story the other day about just how many planes there are of this model?
Oh, thousands have been manufactured, and hundreds were being flown, like round the clock, and they're all grounded. Basically, they're just all trapped.
It's crazy.
So
has this disrupted like travel, like overall, like how much has this? Because I don't really know the numbers myself of like what percentage of like typical within the nation, how many of the flights going on are this model of planes. So is it a major number that's kind of being inactive right now?
it is at the very least an inconvenience.
Okay.
I don't think we've had enough time yet to significantly increase the prices of like a ticket.
Yeah.
Because those planes, assuming that those planes get back up in the air, then everything should go back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
But assuming they don't, Boeing will probably have to release a new model quickly to preserve their reputation.
Wow.
And just try to move past it as a company. And I think that to see any like lasting effects like in the public, we'd have to wait a few months, and if Boeing doesn't put out one of those, that'd be a big mistake. And
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
really like. It's one of those things for me. Since I don't really follow this stuff as actively as you do, I don't have this screen of whoop, it went away. I apologize. Sorry.
Press something.
Well, the screen was going dark, and the Apple user in me decided to tap the screen to get it to come back on. So, sorry. But since I'm not someone who follows this kind of thing actively, it's very interesting to hear the full story, because to me it's kind of just like this like faint noise that I hear throughout the day. You know, I hear like Trump, Boeing, border wall, politics, anything besides superheroes is just like kind of off here for me. So whenever I get to like hear the full story, you know, I feel a little more educated. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
See,
But
this is the point of world news.
exactly. Now I believe you have one other story you wish to share with me and the millions of viewers streaming this right now.
Yes.
Okay.
So everybody knows the kind of rivalry that is developed between China and the U.S. Whether you've heard about it economically, politically, just industrially, it's and just like now China is projected to surpass the United States in artificial intelligence research.
Wow.
So, artificial intelligence.
Do they have Alexas over there?
What?
Do they have Alexas over in China?
Well, they have what's called the Great Firewall, which is...
That sounds awesome.
It monitors all internet.
Gotcha.
And they have something called the Great Cannon, which they can use to shut down websites.
Oh, firewall. Isn't that like what they say in the movies? Like, when there's like the hacker dude in like the dark room, and he's like, I can't bypass the firewall, guys. And they're like trying to rob a bank or something.
So, that is basically what it is. So, it's signals get sent from... I guess we're talking about this now. Signals get sent from a website which has a domain name and like an IP address. Everything that's connected to the internet has to have an IP address.
Okay.
That's basically like the serial number to the thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it sends a signal through the wire, through the Wi-Fi, to the switch.
Yes.
The switch sends that signal to the router. The router sends that signal to the World Wide Web and to the server, which houses the website.
Okay.
And then that sends another signal right back. And these are actually done not through like a continuous signal.
Yeah.
Like when you see those loading bars, it's never like that.
Yeah.
That's a big misnomer.
Okay.
They're actually little packets of data that they send. And I mean, there are a lot of packets, but still, it's not like a continuous it's not pouring water into a glass. It's kind of like dropping stones into a river.
That's a cool analogy.
Yeah.
That's cool. Cool. Okay.
I know. It was pretty good.
But how does it connect back to the China-U.S. rivalry?
Although their intellectual community is being put at a disadvantage in some respects.
Yeah.
They're still investing a lot of money into research and development of the AI technologies. So, in the past few years, Beijing has been investing tremendously into this field, and it's incredibly powerful. Because, I mean, well, you understand why it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It can do a million things a million times faster than a human can.
Yeah.
And just the sheer, I don't know, the sheer magnitude of this problem, or well, I guess not problem. The sheer magnitude of this change. Whereas like the U.S. was previously #1 in this field, Beijing actually bought like facial recognition software. It used to get this stuff from the United States, versus now they're developing their own stuff with incredible efficiency, and
Gotcha.
it's a lot of it's a big change from the way that it used to be.
Yeah.
Especially since China has such a large population. To effectively monitor that population, you would need artificial intelligence. And just having that many people watching the people wouldn't exactly be great.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be efficient, at least. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's that, and then there's the whole controversy of should AI even like be allowed to be developed? Like Elon Musk has, the Elon meme lord. He's tremendously afraid of artificial intelligence, and I think that he is absolutely right. It's a tool that we don't know how to use, and it's a tool that we know how to use it in a certain way, but we don't know exactly what it's capable of yet.
It's interesting.
So all these companies that are rushing to develop artificial intelligence, because they're trying to beat the next guy, could effectively create a new threat towards everything, towards the internet, towards society, towards living in general.
Wow.
And I think that China's investing a lot of money into that, and I haven't really seen much evidence of regulation on the part of these companies in their research. So, sharing this with all of you.
Dang, you stopped talking right at 35 minutes. Look at that.
Skills.
Good job. Good job.
Look at that.
That's really cool. I'm very fascinated by artificial intelligence. I think that's cool. I haven't really heard much about Elon Musk's paranoia surrounding that, but I agree that he's in the right, because I think that stuff is extremely exciting, but also extremely scary. But yeah, that's really interesting.
Absolutely.
Well,
Transitioning
to entertainment.
Look at that.
By the way, sorry that we called this segment Pop Culture in the last one. That actually that's the name we had for it originally, but we forgot that we changed it to encompass more, such as movies, actors, books, etc., that doesn't necessarily fall into pop cultures. But anyways.
Season 1. We make all the mistakes we want.
Exactly. Like, for instance, having 3 pillows. Like, so asymmetrical, it's outrageous. Now, George, before we begin, could you perhaps put this on your side of the couch, out of my reach, because I fear I'm going to gain 600 calories by the end of this. So, yes.
I thought you were going to say weight. 276 grams.
Oh, yeah, I will. Okay, so what I wanted to discuss for pop culture is 2 things that most people who follow actors and whatnot loosely most likely have heard of. So the first is the film Cold Pursuit. It is in theaters now, not too many actually. It was I predicted it being a high revenue movie. It turned out to be a box office flop, unfortunately, because I really enjoyed the movie. We actually saw it together at a local theater.
It was, I thought, a good movie.
I agree. I think it was very different. The film stars Liam Neeson, who is, I've said for a while, my favorite actor. And the primary cause for its failure was a bit of controversy that occurred with him himself. So first, I wanted to briefly just touch on the movie, give a quick review of it before we get into the controversy. So aside from any biases that people may have now, understandably, against Liam, the movie itself, I believe, was very good. I expected it to be more of a typical Liam Neeson movie, because he has been character cast now as this like cool guy who's always trying to like avenge someone's death or find a family member, and he's got to go through all these drug lords, and the trailers made it seem like it was exactly that, right? His son was killed by drug lords. He went to try to get revenge and kill him.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting because right off the bat, he starts killing him, right? And normally in these Liam Neeson movies, there's build up. Like if you've seen Taken, there's a good while before he finds someone and kills them, right? Which is his thing. He's kind of a revenge dude. And normally there's some build up to it, and you really like it gets the audience. The movie gets the audience to really hate these guys, right? They're like, these guys are scumbags who did whatever to this guy's daughter or son, and so when Liam really kills him, it's like, yes, like obviously I'm not happy that somebody's dying, but like also I kind of am because this dude's evil and get him, and then it's like
antagonizing the other people, and then you feel relief.
Exactly, and it's like fulfilling to the audience to see the bad guy that they've hated like just get destroyed by Liam. You know, like it's cool. But then in this movie, like the kills didn't feel to me as impactful. Like it was kind of just like, yep, you came to see Liam kill people. Here it is. Now for the story, right? And I thought the story was good. It had a wide range of humor. It's interesting because there was at one point in the movie they literally had the Barbie theme song playing, and then at another point in the movie, a man was ground up to pieces by a snowplow, and his guts and blood were shot out into the snow.
But comedically,
you know, and it's such a diversity of humor. So is there any? So I think the movie is good. It's not what you'd expect by watching the trailers or by watching Liam's previous films. It has a very interesting tone that you might not be familiar with, but it's really well done. And also Liam doesn't really have that many lines throughout the movie, honestly, which is unusual because he normally monologues a lot of stuff, but somehow he managed to convey the character really well without speaking too much. So it's good. That's my review. Do you have anything to add?
I thought it was more of an art than it was meant to be like a big box office kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the stuff that they did really was really artistic in the way that they shot the scenes and the way that they edited the movie and the way that they crafted the script.
Yeah.
It was very much refined in a way that I didn't see it. You don't really see in a lot of other movies.
Agreed.
It had that sense of classic.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a sense of classic while also branching out in a few different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that it was a good movie, and I think that no matter what the controversy towards Liam is, that the hundreds of people that worked on that movie did a tremendous job.
Yeah.
I think they did. Excellent.
A debate for another day is separating the art from the artist, which is very difficult to do, but ultimately at the end of the day, even if you hate the lead actor, there are hundreds, if not thousands of people that you're going to see when those credits roll that put hours and maybe even years of their lives into this piece of art. So an action or a decision made by one person who was part of that cast and crew, I don't think should dictate your enjoyment of the film, personally.
No, I think exactly. You can't control what one person does, but you can appreciate the efforts of all of those people who worked hard to make a good movie.
Exactly. Now, I believe we have about 8 minutes left in this segment, which is not nearly enough time to fully explore this issue, but it's enough time to just touch on it. So, as such a fan of Liam Neeson in the past, I have been following this controversy actively, so I can say definitively to the viewers that if you're wondering if I have all the facts, I believe firmly that I do. If I've missed anything, you can please let me know, but I believe I've watched all the interviews, read all the articles surrounding this. I believe every side of the story I've heard. So without further ado, I'll explain what happened. So, in a press interview he was doing before the movie, and this was one out of many interviews he did throughout the day, he was in the room with an interviewer and another cast member. The interviewer asked him a question regarding how he manages to channel this sense of hate and revenge that his character has in the movie, and how he could possibly relate to something so violent and brutal when he himself appears to be such a kind, gentle man in reality. His response to this, he said, he spent about a minute divulging this, which he should have either not said it at all or explained it more, is what I think, because he left a lot of questions up in the air. He said a while back, he said years ago, I believe, he didn't specify how many years ago, which is a very important detail, but he said years ago, a friend of mine in Ireland was raped by a black man. So he said that he found out she was assaulted, he said he asked what color the person was. Now, the way he told the story made you think that this was the first question and only question he asked. And so he says this, he asks, and she says it's a black person. And then he said he went around in predominantly black areas with a kosh, which is, I didn't know, a lot of people didn't know what it was when he said it. Apparently that's a term for like a club, like a weapon, a handheld weapon for beating. And he said he went around hoping that an African American person would approach him so that he could release some anger upon them. And this is an innocent person that has no relation to the incident. He wanted to possibly kill them, he said. Now, I believe it was either the next morning or 2 mornings later that he went on Good Morning America, which is a very lighthearted show to discuss such a heavy matter. But he went on and had about I think like a 9 to 10 minute interview where he basically explained the full story because people were really nervous about this. And he said, so here's the first thing. This was not just like a few years ago. This was, well, first of all, it's in Ireland, and this was like, I believe he said like 40 years ago, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. So he would have been in his 20s because he is now in his 60s. So he was a young man in Ireland. This was also during a war between Protestants and Catholics in which there was violence in the streets every day. So, like, Protestants and Catholics were basically bombing each other on a daily basis. So, it was, the way that he described it, he said it was this urge he had because of the environment he was raised in which there was like this idea that, oh, if a certain group wrongs you, you go and wrong them back. If you guys, if someone bombs you guys, you go and you bomb them back, right? Like this was the mentality that he was raised with, or at least that he experienced from his environment. And he said he went out and he did this thing. And also he said that he asked many questions about their description, not just the race thing, but it's the race thing that he's the most ashamed of. And he said that after doing this for about a week, he went to therapy and counseling for a while because he was disgusted at what he had done. And he said that he does not have any racist feelings, and obviously any racist would say that, but in the context of his story, it's slightly more believable. And he said that, what else did he say? Yeah, he said that he went to counseling and therapy, that he thinks it's awful how he felt and what he did, but that it's important to have the full truth out there because it's been weighing on his conscience for a long time. And yeah, I think it's a very difficult discussion. A lot of people were upset because certain celebrities defended him and certain celebrities said this isn't okay.
Well, like who?
Okay, so Terry Crews was he's an African American celebrity actor who spoke and said not that he wasn't defending Liam, but he said something about being able to move on from your past actions. He said that Liam was at a crossroads where he could have went down the white supremacist path, but he didn't. He took a better road, and he thinks that's a good thing. Okay, we interrupt this extremely tense conversation with the fact that the memory card ran out of storage. We still need to get those 64 gigs. Okay, so I was talking about how certain actors and actresses, such as Terry Crews and a few others like Michelle Rodriguez, are not necessarily defending him, but just saying that it's not worth all the trouble because this is something that he felt and did years ago, and he could have taken a different path, but luckily he didn't, and luckily he didn't do anything. Even if he might have, he didn't, which I think is a big distinction. But it's an extremely intricate matter, I think. As I think the root of all racism is very complex, and I don't know if something is excusable just because the environment you were raised in caused you to believe that. I don't think that makes the belief any better. But I don't know. As we resume our timer, George, do you have anything to add to this matter in the last minute or two of the segment?
Well, I believe that you should be judged on who you are now, but I also believe that your previous actions, you need to be accountable for that.
Definitely.
And I think that since then, I think going to therapy was definitely the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely, like, if he hadn't have done that, this would have been an entirely different story for me.
Okay.
But the fact that he acknowledged what he did and he sought help for it, I think that's important.
Yeah. I think, and it's important that he did it at the time too. It's not like 40 years later he's like, hey, now that society is different, I realized I was kind of bad back then, you know?
Yeah.
Like he said, right after doing it, he was like, what am I doing? You know, like, this is bad, this is evil. I need to seek help, you know? Like,
absolutely.
And I think that's, yeah. And he also said one detail I forgot to add that I think a lot of people have not heard and are missing. And I can't speak to the validity of this, but he said he knows in his heart, without a doubt, that he would have done the same if the person was any other race. He said if it was any other group, if it was an Asian person, a British person, even another Irish person, he would have done the same thing, which I also think is a big deal. But still, taking out your anger on an entire group because of the actions of one is not acceptable, but it is worth noting and worth acknowledging his goodness as a person, that he did seek help, he has grown, and now he wants to share this story to help others be on the right path. I think that's big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, this segment has ended.
Yeah.
Now for debate. Would you like to introduce the debate? For two sides.
Yes. Is this a thing now?
It is a thing.
Oh, well, that was some time. Tattoos.
Woo!
Tattoos. I don't like them.
I think they're pretty cool.
And yes.
Yeah.
So I know last time we had a little bit more of a very weird topic. So I think that this time we should just take it back to something a little bit simpler.
Yep.
So
Well, last time were you referring to animal cloning, the ethics of animal cloning that we did last? Yeah. That was wild, and we far exceeded our time limit on that, so we'll see if we can do better.
Very true.
So, tattoos, do you want to start, since I just spent like 10 minutes talking about the whole Liam Neeson thing, which also is a much heavier topic than tattoos, but, you know, let's lighten it up. There's some variety on this show.
I don't really, you almost turned off the light. And I think that tattoos are, you know, like, there's a lot of different ways to show your commitment to like a thing. And I think that like marking like your skin forever for that is like, I guess it could be considered admirable, but I think there are a lot of smarter ways to do that, especially since it's I mean it is becoming easier with the advent of new inventions to remove tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
But it is still uncomfortable, and it is still it's like you're branding yourself for one thing, and you need to understand that, you need to comprehend that, and you need to understand that you're not just that one thing, or even if you just want to like commemorate your dedication to the one thing, still like you can't have a tattoo of everything you like.
Yeah.
So I think that like before you make such a big like, you know, you should definitely just like understand what you're doing.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely understand your mentality. I think a lot of people make very bad decisions when it comes to tattoos. I think people like the definition of a bad tattoo idea, and the prime example of someone that George would criticize is those people who get a tattoo that says like Patriots Super Bowl champs before the Super Bowl has happened because they're so confident, you know. Because it's funny and cool when you post it on Instagram for that day, right? And some people, they do it for the laughs, for the reactions. Absolutely. I don't think you should get a tattoo so that people will be like, whoa, that's cool. Because, like, you know, there's a lot of ways to impress people. I don't think you need to do something to your body just to get reactions. I also don't think that you should try to follow the crowd and get a bunch of tattoos just for the sake of it. I think a lot of particular rappers and artists, you know, like Post Malone, Machine Gun Kelly, you know, all these guys who got like just tattoos like from head to toe, you know. I mean, Post Malone's more on the face than anywhere else, but people who do that, I don't know. I don't know if that's like if they genuinely want to do that because they think it's a defining aspect of their personality or their life, or if they're like, you know, rappers get tattoos, I should get tattoos, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, are they doing it to be cool, or are they doing it because they genuinely want to, and do you think that it matters?
I think that it definitely matters, but I really don't think there is anything that integral to your personality that you would need to have printed on it, even if it was like, even if you consider it like, oh, it's my defining moment, or something, or like, even if you think that it's super applicable to you, in those situations, then you don't even need to tattoo yourself at all.
Yeah.
You just tell people about it.
Yeah. I definitely don't think it's necessary. I agree with that. Yeah.
It's not necessary, and I think that the only way that you could even be like semi just in getting a tattoo is if it's like is if you want to show your dedication to something in a way that you can't with words.
I like that.
And I don't know of any circumstances.
I have a few ideas
in which that So this is two sides.
That's right. Well, these are not necessarily related to my personal tattoo ideas for myself down the road, but I have a few ideas I'd like to ask you about.
I'm going to be making jokes about this for a while now.
Oh, boy.
Continue.
This is not related to me, I'm saying. What I'm about to say.
Oh, no, but I'll make jokes like they are. So.
Sounds good. So, what do you say to these different tattoo types? What do you say to matching partner tattoos to show your dedication to not a thing, but a person? What do you think of religious tattoos? That is kind of, I've noticed a tradition of when kids turn a certain age to get like a cross tattoo, you know, I've noticed that is kind of the trend. And then I had one other one. What was it? Partner tattoos, religious tattoos, and I had another one I thought you might be on board with, but I forget it. So what do you think? What do you think of those two types?
Partner tattoos are called wedding rings.
Well said. Well said.
You said religious tattoos. I think that, like, if they're like, regardless of what you believe, no one understands how much that scared me for a second. So, like, regardless of what you believe, Keelan's whipped up into a frenzy. But regardless of what you believe, if you believe there is a God, I can almost guarantee that he's not going to be like, oh, you got a tattoo. I got you. To heaven you go. I honestly don't think that that's going to matter to, like, to God.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I mean, I wear a cross.
Yeah.
And like, tattooing one might be a little bit more comfortable, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, still, if it's something that you want to keep with you at all times, like religious symbols, of like a symbol of your faith or a symbol of your your beliefs, then you if you're serious about that, then you carry those beliefs with you, and those are ingrained in like you. Versus like you don't really need a cross around your neck to be a Christian, or you don't need like any other symbol of any religion.
I like that
to be that religion, to be like a part of to practice that religion.
Yeah.
So I think that like I again, so I haven't really figured it out a scenario in which a tattoo is necessary. I mean, I guess your love of tattoos would be an appropriate time to get like I like tattoos or something.
There you go.
I guess that would be.
We just found common ground. Look at that.
Too bad we have a minute left in this segment. Okay. So, quick impromptu minute. Go.
Impromptu what?
You're on the moon. What? You're being surrounded by an alien.
Wait, this is not related to tattoos?
No.
This is just improv? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go.
We have 1 minute left in the segment. We found common ground.
Moon. Surrounded by aliens.
Surrounded by aliens. The aliens are about to attack you. And what do you say? You have 30 seconds to convince them not to kill you.
Listen here, my lunar friends.
They don't like your tone of voice.
Listen here. Please kindly listen to me. My dear lunar associates, whom I
Be forceful.
Listen, I praised you guys so highly in my many years working down at NASA back on that little blue dot over there, you know. And listen, they sent me up here to talk to you guys, try to talk some sense into you, just be like, you know, maybe we can coexist if people decide to live on the moon one of these days, or if you guys ever want to crash on Earth, you know. I just think we should reach a civil peace agreement, and if that's okay, I'm sorry I'm talking so fast, but if you want to do that, then let's do it. Bam.
Wow. There's like a 30% chance you would have lived.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that's pretty good for on the spot, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the event that I'm making peace agreements with lunar people, I will script it out ahead of time. Maybe get it up to a 50 or 60%.
Sounds like it's a good plan. It's just improv.
And assuming they speak English as well.
Absolutely.
Now we got about 10 minutes left for my monologue. Forgot about that.
Keelan is pioneering a new bit that we've designed.
Oh yeah.
Called Monologue, in which he monologues, but at random points he may be like, George! And then I would immediately pick up on the topic because I'm paying attention.
That's
and
right. Chime in with your thoughts and your response, yes.
Absolutely. Or continue your thought.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So we have 9 minutes and 3 seconds.
Okay.
I'll put the Doritos down.
Alrighty. And just to clarify, this won't always be me doing monologues. George is also fully capable of doing monologues himself anytime he pleases. So, but for today,
especially in classes like math or Spanish.
Oh yeah. But I have a topic I would like to discuss, and that is the Snyder Cut.
Oh snap.
Okay. Now,
I'm ready.
I'm wearing my Snyder Cut shirt today for a reason, and that is because, well, initially it's because last night I had a dream about the Snyder Cut. This marks my 3rd dream I've had about the Snyder Cut. 3rd.
You dream about the Snyder Cut, Gil?
Yes, this is not a joke.
Monologue. Go.
This is not a joke. I had my 3rd dream about it last night, so I decided to wear this shirt, and now here we are discussing it on our show. I believe it's all connected. But, anyways, to those who don't know,
we make the show.
Here's the abridged version of the Snyder Cut story that I have told to many people and still frustrates me to this day. Zack Snyder was hired 5, 6, 7 years ago. Warner Brothers / DC Entertainment. To be the director and the father of Man of Steel, which would be the gateway to the greater DC Extended Universe, aka the film series inspired by DC Comics. Man of Steel focused on Superman. The following movie, released 3 years later, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, focused on bringing in Batman, and as you may have guessed by the subtitle Dawn of Justice, other members of the Justice League, primarily Wonder Woman. So he, with these 2 movies, gained an enormous fan following. Now, these were controversial movies. A lot of people didn't like them, particularly movie critics. But I'm fine with that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But these movies, these 2 movies alone, gained Zack Snyder and this DC universe he was constructing a very closely knit family of fans. I would call it a family because they were so connected by the values that they got from these movies. And some people truly don't understand this. Some people truly, to this day, think that Man of Steel is okay and Batman v Superman sucks. I've never understood that. To me, these movies are both cinematic gold, not just because of the amazing cinematography and the shots that Zack Snyder brings to every single frame of the movies, but because of the fantastic scripts by Chris Terrio and just because of what the movies stand for. There was a structure to this. He had a plan for these movies. Man of Steel was supposed to be about fathers, and Batman v Superman was supposed to be about mothers as kind of the core guiding figures in these characters' lives. And then Justice League was supposed to be about family. Justice League was supposed to be when all the metahumans, meaning people with superpowers, came together and formed a team to fight the forces of Apocalypse, a distant alien evil world. It was very much derived from the comics with his own creative twists on the story. And he had other Justice League movies planned, and there were also spin-offs, of course, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, now there's been Aquaman, and there's many more planned. But Justice League was a big deal to people. It was a culminating event for fans of Zack Snyder and fans of DC, whether you liked Zack or not, whether you liked Batman v Superman or not. People were excited for Justice League because the Justice League, right up there with the Avengers, those are like, and the X-Men, I'd say also, three most iconic superhero teams ever. So Justice League was a big deal that it was finally getting its own movie. Then ridiculous stuff happened behind the scenes. First of all, Zack Snyder had to step down. Family tragedy. His adopted daughter, Autumn Snyder, committed suicide. I believe she was in her 20s. Very, very sad. He had to step down. Now, this was when people at Warner Brothers, DC Entertainment, I don't know who exactly made these decisions, but they hired Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon was the director of the Avengers. They wanted to make Justice League into a Marvel movie, essentially. They wanted the positive crowd reactions, they wanted the humor, the fun, the good family movie, they wanted that. I think it would have been okay, if they had done that from the start, it would have been alright. But when they tried to just mesh these completely different visions together, one being a fun action movie that everyone would love, one being a really artistically driven film that the true fans would love, and they tried to just mush them together, and there was all kinds of scheduling conflicts with the actors because this wasn't planned. There was the terrible Superman CGI mustache event that happened because he was also filming another movie at the time that required him to have a mustache. It was a whole deal. It did not work. It did not work. The first time I watched it, I was like, okay, this was cool. This was fun. Second time I watched it, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. And then I watched it. I kept watching it, and I kept hearing more things about it. And I'm like, this movie was not what it was meant to be. This is not the grand film that Justice League was supposed to be. I didn't feel anything truly for this movie, which I did with BVS and Man of Steel. Now, since then, fans have been petitioning for the Snyder Cut, which is a thing that they've said, because Zack Snyder has filmed everything that he wanted to film. It's all in the editing that has not happened yet, or supposedly has not happened yet. So fans want a cut version of Justice League to be released to them that has Zack Snyder's vision in there. And there's so many different reasons for this that I'm running out of time here, but there's so many things that were missing from the film that he was originally going to have in the film that were very important to fans. So people have been petitioning for this. Now, in 2 weeks, Zack Snyder in California is having a 3-day event in which he is screening all of his personal director's cuts of his films. This includes Dawn of the Dead, his first major movie, zombie picture. This includes Watchmen, his first DC movie actually, which is not connected to all the others, it's a different story, and Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. He has not mentioned anything about a cut of Justice League, but it seems awfully convenient that it's leading up to So it's 3 days, and the fourth day, which there's nothing scheduled, but the day after this is the anniversary of Batman v Superman. It seems awfully convenient that leading up to the anniversary of his most beloved film, he is having a screening of director's cuts, when that's what people have been petitioning for Justice League for 2 years now. He has not once stated whether or not he is trying to work on a cut. He has never acknowledged it, despite fans every day asking him on social media, is this a thing? Is it real? Do you have the rights to do this? Can you do it? Will we ever see your vision for the Justice League?
I doubt he has the rights.
But he has never responded to any of them, ever. After over 2 years, he interacts with fans regularly, but he has never responded to these questions. And now, right around the time that BVS was released 3 years ago, he is having a screening of director's cuts. One other important detail, and I apologize for not asking you to chime in yet. I'm gonna ask for your thoughts after this, actually. But
go for it.
Somebody direct messaged his son, Eli Snyder, and said, "Hey, fans are really hungry for your father's version of Justice League, right? Fans really want this. Do you know anything about it?" And he said, "Stay optimistic. Good things are coming," was his reply. And this screenshot of this conversation leaked and is everywhere now. This is the most confirmation fans have gotten in years, and this is the same month that he's having this director's cut event. So people are really hoping, and I'm really hoping.
There is hope. What I'm a little bit skeptical on is why would he? Because even if because it couldn't be sponsored with a studio, because they wouldn't make money off of that.
Oh, I think they could. Fans want this badly. If they put this out as a DVD,
they can't. Well, they could put it as a DVD,
or
but they wouldn't invest all that time in editing just to have a second DVD version when they already have the first.
Hence why it has been 2 years or a year and a half since the film was released. It's the time that has passed since the film was released is the amount of time it took to actually produce the film in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So it literally was, Justice League was a year and a half long project. Yeah. It's been a year and a half since then. So it raises the question that maybe the amount of editing and stuff, the time it would have taken to reassemble this version of the movie, it could have been done by now.
Oh, absolutely.
Even with a smaller team, maybe Zack Snyder has his own studio. He has his own studio, and he hasn't done any movies since then. He hasn't publicly been working on anything since then. So it just seems like it would make sense to me.
Well, we'll see, I suppose, but it looks like we are out of time.
We are indeed. I apologize for going over the limit, and I apologize for not asking you to chime in. I just had to get all that out there.
And it is
Whew.
monologue.
It is. That's true.
Even though, basically, what we have designed makes monologue into a conversation.
It's kind of just like any other thing.
We will revisit all of these later at a later date.
Oh, we will indeed. And we have many other ideas for segments that we're going to be adding. Ones that are very creative, I believe. And I think you all will enjoy them.
Incredible segments coming up.
Absolutely. It's honestly state of the art. I believe firmly that within the next 2 weeks, maybe, every other talk show in the world will just have given up.
And that brings us out. Because we are very much going out of time. And yes, so how are we going to end it?
We're going to end it with the whoop-pow!